He's here.
It started, as most horrors do, with silence. Not the kind you get in the woods, or late at night when the TV's off. This was deeper, hungrier, the kind that made your ears feel like they were underwater. People avoided the house at 317 Willoughby Street. Not because it was haunted, though it was, but because it felt asleep, dormant, as if breathing with shallow, dusty lungs. The house was Victorian, 3 floors tall, draped in ivy, and leaned ever so slightly to the left, like it had grown tired of standing straight. The porch creaked even when no one stepped on it. Windows fogged from the inside, no matter the weather. Locals called it the dream house. Not because it was beautiful, it wasn't, but because it dreamed. They said if the house sat empty, it would begin to dream. And when it dreamed, bad things happened. It didn't want to be alone. So, it called people in. Not loudly. It never shouted. It whispered. A week ago, Tyler Brent arrived in town. 34 years old, divorced, broke. A failed writer chasing a fresh start in a place no one knew his name. He found the house listed online. Cheap rent, no deposit. The photos looked staged, too perfect. Furniture like museum pieces. Rugs that didn't have a single stain. Walls without cracks. He should have known better, but desperation has a way of sanding off your instincts. He signed the lease, moved in the next morning. Place has character, said the landlord, a man with 2 white teeth and eyes that didn't match the smile. Tyler nodded. Yeah, seems peaceful. The landlord didn't reply, just handed over the keys and got in his car, like he couldn't wait to leave. The first night was quiet. No creaks, no whispers, no dreams. Tyler unpacked his laptop, set up a small desk near the window, and tried to write. Nothing came. The words just wouldn't stick. Every time he typed a sentence, it read like someone else had written it. A stranger with cold fingers. He went to bed around midnight and dreamed. But not his own dreams. He was in the house. Same house. But the walls bled. The ceiling dripped black tar. He could hear something moving behind the wallpaper, breathing in sync with his own chest. There was a voice, too, low and feminine, but cracked like dry paint. Stay. Tyler woke up gasping. His alarm read 3:33 a.m. The second night, he dreamed again. This time he was in the attic, only it wasn't dusty or abandoned. It was warm, alive. The wood pulsed under his feet like flesh. Eyes blinked from between the floorboards. A crib sat in the center, rocking slowly. Don't leave me alone again, the voice whispered. Tyler screamed himself awake. Another 3:33 a.m. The third night, he tried to stay up. Drank 3 Red Bulls, played music, read aloud. But at some point, he must have dozed off. And the house swallowed him. He dreamed of corridors that didn't exist. Hallways folding like origami. The wallpaper peeled in the shape of screaming mouths. Furniture grew limbs. He saw his ex-wife's face, sewn shut. His childhood dog, eyeless. He saw himself, older, grayer, hollow. He saw the house smile. When he woke, he wasn't in bed. He was standing in the basement, barefoot, shirtless, nails embedded in his hands, as if he'd been trying to claw his way out of the concrete. The door behind him was gone. Only brick. He screamed. This time, no one heard it. Not the neighbors, not the town, not even the house, because the house was dreaming. And in its dream, Tyler Brent never moved in. He was always there. Part of the wood, part of the whisper, part of the house. When Tyler Brent opened his eyes, he wasn't sure if he was awake. The light had changed. It came in gray through the windows, thick, like dust. Not quite dawn, not quite dusk. He was back in his bed. The nails in his hands were gone. No blood, no bruises, just a dull ache, like the memory of pain. He ran to the basement. There was a door, wooden, ordinary, just as it had been the day he moved in. Had he dreamt it all? He opened his laptop, searched the folders. There was a document open, a file he didn't remember writing. Title: The House That Dreamed. Author: Tyler Brent. Only a single line had been typed. It remembers you. That day, Tyler didn't write, didn't eat, didn't speak. He just walked the halls. The house had a rhythm, a breath. It creaked in patterns, sighed in corners. The light bent wrong in certain spots. Mirrors showed walls that didn't exist. He counted rooms. 9. Kitchen, dining, study, living, bedroom, bath, attic, basement, closet. But when he counted again, there were 10. A door at the end of the upstairs hall he didn't remember. Plain. Brass handle. He opened it. The room inside was small, child-sized. Pale blue walls, peeling. A mobile hung from the ceiling, handmade. Shapes of birds with missing wings. A small bed. Stuffed rabbit. Old rocking chair. Tyler stepped in, and the door slammed shut behind him. He turned. There was no door, only more wall. He backed away slowly, breathing shallow. The mobile spun above. The rabbit blinked. And then the chair began to rock back and forth. "You left me," a voice said, barely a whisper. He turned. A child stood by the bed, face shadowed, fingers long and twitching, eyes not quite human. "No one tucks me in." Tyler ran to the wall, pounding with his fists. No door, only laughter, not cruel, lonely. He turned back. The child was gone. But the rabbit sat upright on the bed now, smiling. Somehow, he got out. He woke up again in his bed, sweating, shaking. He ran to the hallway. 9 doors, no 10th. but on his laptop, the file had updated. New line. She remembers too. Tyler didn't sleep that night. The house did, and it dreamed of children. Camille didn't sleep that night. She uploaded what little she had to her podcast, a warning episode, called it Dream House, Entry 1. She begged her listeners, stay away from 317 Willoughby. But one listener didn't listen. They lived just 2 blocks away. His name was Aaron, high school senior, amateur paranormal YouTuber. His channel had 204 subscribers, and he was desperate for more. The next night, he grabbed a flashlight, a GoPro, and snuck out while his parents were asleep. By 11:43 p.m., he was standing outside the dream house. It looked different, smaller, narrower, as if trying to hide in its own frame. He knocked once. The door creaked open. He entered, camera rolling. "Yo, guys," he whispered. "I'm inside the haunted house from that podcast. The one where the dude disappeared. Place smells like Grandma's attic and regret." No response. Just creaking. He stepped into the hallway. Paintings lined the walls. None he'd seen in photos online. Each one depicted the same house, over and over, in different weather. Sometimes on fire, sometimes underwater, sometimes floating in black sky. Then he saw it. In one of the paintings, his own face, blinking. He spun around. No one there. "Okay," he whispered, suddenly unsure. Then the static started. His camera feed glitched. The hallway stretched, literally, walls pulling, elongating like taffy. Doors began appearing one by one, slamming shut behind him. He ran. Every hallway led back to the same place, the foyer, over and over. Then he tripped on something soft. He looked down. It was Tyler Brent. Mouth sewn shut, eyes wide. And then the house whispered again. "Now you'll keep me company too." The camera cut to black. Aaron's YouTube account uploaded the video automatically at 3:33 a.m. The last frame was just the house, smiling. The day after Aaron's video went live, the town whispered. Not out loud. No one did that about the dream house, but in quiet grocery store aisles and under breath in the post office. The video was gone by morning. YouTube said it violated terms. His parents said he never came home. Camille watched it before it vanished. She saw the glitching walls, the paintings, the final frame. She went back, not out of bravery, guilt. She brought a handheld EMF reader, a portable mic, holy water, and a crowbar. The house was waiting. The door creaked open like it always did. This time the air was warmer, like the breath of something sleeping too close. She stepped in, whispered, "I'm not staying, just visiting." The lights came on, all by themselves. The foyer was clean. Aaron's camera wasn't there, but Camille noticed something new. A staircase, not the regular one. A second staircase, narrower, hugged the far wall behind an open panel. It shouldn't have been there. She would have seen it before. Still, she climbed. Each step moaned. The air grew thick, like honey. Her flashlight dimmed, then died. At the top, a door, painted black. She touched the knob. Cold. Too cold. She opened it slowly. Inside was nothing. A blank room. No furniture. No windows. Just wallpaper covered in names. Hundreds of them. She stepped inside. The door slammed shut. She turned, yanked the knob, wouldn't budge. Then the names began to glow, read one by one. Tyler Brent, Aaron Stone, Camille Hart. Her name burned last. Then the floor shifted, tiles retracted like puzzle pieces. A staircase beneath, leading down. She had no choice. She descended. Below was the 4th floor. But that made no sense. The house only had 3. This one pulsed like a wound. The walls were wet. The lights breathed. In the center was a single chair, facing away. She circled it slowly. A figure sat, head down, fingers twitching. Tyler, but his mouth was gone, sealed. He looked up with hollow eyes and mouthed something without lips. Camille leaned in. Behind her, the house whispered, "You shouldn't have come back." The walls closed. The light died. All that remained was the sound of dreaming. Heavy, endless. Camille didn't scream. She wanted to. She tried, but the sound never came. The walls throbbed like lungs. The air smelled of mildew and rusted iron. Not blood, but close. Tyler was still staring, still twitching. And somewhere far, far below, she heard the voice, faint, low, feminine. "Camille." She backed away from the chair. Tyler's head dropped. The lights above her flickered, as if the house was thinking, choosing. She checked her gear. EMF meter shattered. Holy water leaked dry. Crowbar gone. The room changed. She didn't notice it at first, but the doorway was gone. So was the staircase. Now, it was a hallway, too long, too straight, like a hospital wing built underground. She walked forward, one foot in front of the other. The carpet below felt squishy. She didn't look down. Not yet. Each fluorescent light above buzzed and hissed as she passed, like insects caught in glass. Then up ahead, another door. Not black this time. Yellow. She touched the knob. Warm. Too warm. She turned it slowly. Inside. A child's room. Neat. Clean. Pink wallpaper with dancing ponies. A girl sat on the bed. Blonde. Pale. Dressed like it was 1973. She looked up and said, "Did my mommy send you?" Camille didn't move, didn't blink. "Who are you?" she whispered. "I live here," the girl said, "but I don't like the house when it sleeps." Camille nodded slowly. "What happens when it sleeps?" The girl smiled, but only with her teeth. Too many teeth. "It dreams," the girl said, "and dreaming hurts." Camille backed toward the door. It was gone. Again. Now the girl was standing. Right in front of her. Close. Too close. "Don't wake it," she hissed. "Why not?" The girl leaned in and whispered, "Because if it wakes up, it remembers." The room blinked. Walls shifted. Now Camille was standing outside. The girl was gone. So was the room. So was the hallway. She was on the second-floor landing. Everything looked normal again, except the EMF reader back in her hand, except her recorder still rolling, except now the device was playing back a voice, not hers, not Tyler's, a woman's, repeating the same phrase. "He lied about the floor. There is no top, only down." Camille ran down the stairs, back into the foyer, the front wide open. Night had fallen, but something was waiting at the threshold. A man, dressed in an old postman uniform. No eyes, just stitched skin, where they should have been. He handed her a letter. Camille didn't want to touch it, but she did. The envelope was damp, old. It read, "To Camille Hart, mailed from inside." Inside? She opened it. The letter said, "Don't leave yet. The house likes you. It's been writing you into its dreams." Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind her, locked, again. Camille turned. The house was breathing louder now, and on the wall above the fireplace, a fresh painting had appeared, oil on canvas. Her, trapped inside the house, eyes open, screaming, but no one would hear. Because outside, the house looked empty, and the world had already forgotten her name. The house remembered Camille. It remembered the weight of her boots, the rhythm of her breathing, the exact flavor of her fear. It remembered Tyler. His screams were still echoing inside its walls like songs played backward. They made the paint peel. They made the doorknobs bleed. Camille wasn't dead. Not yet. She had passed through something deeper than a basement, a layer of the house that wasn't part of blueprints. It looked like a hospital, but not the kind with nurses. The hallway lights blinked in Morse code. Help. Run. Stay. Forget. She walked past patient rooms where the beds were made of wood and mouths. Room 104. A man was sewn into the mattress, still twitching. Room 107. A girl with no face scribbled on the walls using her fingernails. Camille pressed on. She felt like the walls were turning to watch her. And then she saw it. Room 109. Her childhood bedroom. Right down to the pink sheets and the crack in the closet door. She opened it slowly. Inside, sat a VHS tape, labeled "Watch Me," in her own handwriting. She found an old TV in the corner, plugged it in. The screen buzzed. The tape began to play. Static, then footage from her 9th birthday. Her mom laughing, her dad holding the camera. Then the screen flickered, cut to a view of Camille sleeping. Older Camille, last week, from inside the dream house. She stepped back. The tape kept rolling. Now it showed her in room 109, looking at the screen. Right now, the TV whispered, "You are exactly where you're supposed to be." Then the floor cracked, like dry skin. Camille dropped the tape. It split open. Not film inside. Teeth. They bit her hand. She screamed and ran out, but the hallway wasn't there anymore. Just a stairwell leading up. She climbed. Each step throbbed. She reached a door that looked ancient. Burnt wood. Chains. An eye carved in the center. It blinked, then opened. Inside was a vast library, books from floor to ceiling. But each book had a person's name, written in cursive. Some were glowing, some were weeping, some were pulsing. She found one with her name, Camille Hart. She opened it and read the last page. Camille screamed as the house finally swallowed her name. She dropped the book, turned around. The house whispered in her ear, "Close the book, or you stay forever." She slammed it shut. The floor dropped beneath her. She fell through pages, through stories, through screams, and landed hard, back in the foyer. Door wide open, sunlight pouring in. She didn't wait. She ran. Outside, on the sidewalk, she looked back. The house stood still, but one of the upstairs windows was fogged. A handprint on the glass. From the inside. Camille didn't remember ever having a birthday party in that house. Not one. But that morning, when she opened her eyes, she was holding a balloon. Red. Deflated. Faintly sticky. Downstairs, the smell of cake filled the air. She never bought cake. She never lit candles. But the dining room was decorated. Streamers, flickering candles, plastic plates with faded cartoon clowns. A banner drooped across the ceiling. "Happy 8th birthday, Camille." Her hands trembled. She didn't remember turning 8 here. Not in this house. She walked to the table. There were 8 chairs. 7 were occupied. Figures sat motionless, backs straight, faces hidden under cheap paper party hats. She blinked. In front of each one, a slice of cake, rotting, molded, crawling. Except hers. The center plate was clean. A small note rested on it. It read, "Make a wish." She backed away. The door slammed shut behind her. One of the seated guests giggled. She turned slowly. The first guest lifted its head. It had no face, just a flat, skin-like mask with 2 painted-on eyes. It whispered, You blew out the candles. Now, we stay. The second guest lifted their head. A plastic smile, wax lips, a paper crown. It whispered, "You left us here." The third didn't speak. It simply held up a photograph. Camille, at 8 years old, blowing candles in this same room. She never remembered this. Not this room, not this house. But the photo was real. She was smiling in it. Camille tried the windows, nailed shut. The guests began to sing, "Happy birthday to you," but their voices twisted, slowed, melted, like tape warped in the sun. "You lied about the year. You said we weren't real. You buried us under wallpaper." The candles on the cake relit. One by one, flames blew. Unnatural. The final guest lifted their head. It was Camille. A younger version, smiling, mouth full of candle wax. She whispered, "You can blow them out, Camille, but they always come back." She screamed, grabbed the cake, threw it. But the guests didn't flinch. Instead, the room folded inward, walls cracking, light bulbs shattering, streamers turning into vines that reached for her. The younger Camille stood, holding a knife made of glass. She whispered, "You don't get to grow up, not in here." The floor split. Camille fell through again and woke up, back in her room. No cake, no banner, no party. Just one thing remained. The photo sitting on her desk. Her, age 8, smiling in that cursed dining room. In the background, the guests were still there, still watching. Camille didn't remember leaving the 4th floor, but she woke up in her car, parked 2 streets down, engine cold, her hands trembling around a photograph. It wasn't hers. A faded Polaroid, edges curled with time. In it, 3 kids stood on the porch of the dream house, all smiling. The middle one looked like Aaron, the girl on the right, Camille. But she had no memory of this. On the back, in a child's handwriting, "We played too long. Now the house remembers." She ran to her mom's house. Her mom went pale when she saw the picture. "Where did you find this?" "You never told me I was there," Camille shouted. Her mom hesitated, then said the words Camille feared. "You weren't supposed to remember." The next day, Camille returned to the house, alone. This time, the front door was wide open. Inside was silent. No lights, no whispers. Just that still, thick quiet, like the air before a funeral. She carried the photograph in her hand. The EMF meter in her backpack clicked once, then died. Then she saw it. A new hallway that hadn't been there before. It stretched long and thin, walls lined with old photo frames. Each photo was of someone standing in front of the house. Grainy, aged. She found her own face. Again and again. Different years. Same porch. Same smile. She had visited before. Over and over. One photo was dated 1997. She was 6 years old. Her breath caught. The frame beside it was empty. A label below it read, "Camille Hart, final visit." Behind her, Footsteps. Slow. Barefoot. She didn't turn around. A voice, low and breathy. You left the door open, Camille. You let it out. Suddenly, the frames shattered. Photographs curled and blackened. The hallway shrank. The walls closed in. Camille ran. But the further she ran, the older the house became. Wood rotted, wallpaper peeled, paint wept from the ceilings. Then, she saw herself. A younger version, 6 years old, sitting in a rocking chair in the center of a nursery. The child looked up and whispered, "We never left." The hallway vanished. Camille was standing outside again. In her hand, a second photograph. This one showed her as an old woman, still trapped in the house, peering from the attic window. And inside her head, a voice hummed, "The house keeps what it dreams." Camille didn't sleep that night. She couldn't. The second photograph, her future self, pale and wrinkled, staring from the attic window, burned behind her eyes. She needed to go back. Not to film, not to ask questions. This time, to confront the house. She waited until 3:17 a.m. Same time Aaron vanished. Same time the dreams always began. She parked at the edge of the cul-de-sac, headlights off. The house looked different again, older, more as if it had breathed in time and remembered everything. Camille stepped inside. No flashlight, no EMF. Just the photograph clenched in her fist like a holy charm. The hallway welcomed her with warmth this time. Not a creak, not a whisper, but every frame on the wall now held her face. One for each night she dreamed of this place. One for each lie she told herself that she had never been here before. She reached the attic door, still padlocked, still cold. But now the lock was undone, as if it had been waiting. She climbed slowly. Each step felt like walking backward in time. Dust curled from the beams above. Cobwebs trembled like tiny hands. And then, she reached the attic. Nothing. Just an empty room. A rocking chair. A mirror. And a small door in the far wall, 4 feet tall. Camille stepped closer. The mirror flickered. For a second, her reflection was gone, replaced by the older version of herself, the one from the photograph, lips moving silently, mouthing something over and over. Camille leaned in and heard it inside her skull, not her ears. "Don't open the small door." Too late. The latch clicked open with a soft metallic breath. Inside, a crawl space. Toys, shoes, bones, a rusted tin marked teeth, and scrawled on the walls in red crayon, "We don't leave, we grow up." Suddenly, Camille was pulled inward, not by hands, but by memory. The house flooded her mind. Birthdays she didn't remember, games she never played, a boy named Aaron smiling in the corner, forever 7. Camille screamed, but no sound came. Instead, her voice came from the mirror. She turned. The reflection was no longer hers. It was Aaron. Older now, eyes black, smiling. He raised one hand and said, "Tag, you're it." The attic slammed shut. Downstairs, the front door opened by itself. Another visitor had just arrived, and the house began to dream again. Camille was gone. Not missing, not dead, just erased. The house no longer remembered her name. The guest book didn't mention her. The mirror never caught her reflection again. But somewhere in the attic behind the little door, she was watching. 2 weeks later, a new couple moved into the cul-de-sac. Young, excited, pregnant. They asked the neighbors about the empty house at the end of the lane. Everyone said the same thing. It's always been empty. That night, the house turned its face toward them. Windows fogged with breath. Basement light flickered on and off like a heartbeat, and a faint sound, like a lullaby from a rusted music box, came from the attic. "Hush, little baby. Don't say a word." Inside the attic, a child's room had grown. Where there was once dust and rot, now stood a small blue bed, toy soldiers lined up in rows, a mobile spinning slowly over a crib, and a sign above the door, Aaron's room. But Aaron never slept here. He only watched. From the mirror, from the closet, from behind the eyes of those who entered. Camille's final footage surfaced on a forgotten hard drive found by a local teen. It showed her, sitting in the attic, older, barely blinking. She whispered into the camera, "Aaron was never a boy. He was a memory the house wanted to become real. I think I'm part of it now. If you're watching this, don't go to the attic. Whatever you do, don't bring a child inside." The video glitched. Her face morphed into Aaron's. Black eyes, wide grin, then static. 3 days after the new couple moved in, a neighborhood child went missing. Last seen near the overgrown fence of the house. The parents said the child had an imaginary friend named Aaron who lived in a mirror. The house is no longer dreaming. It's wide awake now, and it's raising a family. The end. Or maybe just the beginning.